Everybody knows that sex sells.
Yeah, but they don't know the history of the people who sell it. I'm KAYTLIN Bailey.
I'm Wendy Starling.
And this is The Oldest Profession. I worked as an hourly escort when I was in high school for no good goddamn reason. And then when I needed money for the first time, I got into sugaring to support comedy.
I'm a stand-up comedian and former sugar baby and panty girl.
We're telling stories about the unrepentant whores that came before us because the oldest profession
has a history, baby.
All right, welcome back. I want to go ahead and address right now the fallout that we're already seeing from the SESTA bill passing.
Yeah,
right?
that was very intense, by the way. Very intense opening the show. Welcome back. We're at a commercial break.
I don't know. I'm panicking.
Yeah, we've already.
Our listeners are panicking.
Yeah, KAYTLIN and I have already.
Friends are panicking.
Before we turn the microphones on, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, let's do a proper intro before we just fucking turn on the sirens and be like, "This is how you get to the underground bunker."
Yeah.
So this is The Oldest Profession. I'm Wendy Starling.
Oh, I'm KAYTLIN Bailey. March 21st, SESTA passed the Senate.
Yeah.
It still has to go through a review process in the House and the Senate before the president can sign it into law. But tech companies are already responding to this legislation.
Right.
So
and SESTA stands for
Stop Enabling Sex Trafficking Act, which is an Orwellian mislabel because it is not helping sex trafficking.
No.
It is not preventing enabling. It is only hurting adult sex workers and traffickers, and nobody wants this except dumb dudes that want to punish uppity whores and specifically and uppity women generally.
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's
swear to God,
and not to be. And not to sound like some kind of, an asshole. And I think we should for sure have gun control laws and make it really difficult to get a gun. I will say this, though. It's a similar mentality of they're like, well, sex trafficking is illegal. Well, yeah, no shit. It's a bad thing to do to kidnap a 13-year-old and force her to fuck somebody and take her money.
Right.
That's morally a bad thing to do. So the people that are already doing that, if you're
Yes.
like, well, look, we made a law, so now they're like, well, bitch, we were already doing a bad thing anyway.
Right.
Just saying, someone who's going to take a gun and kill a bunch of people, you pass a law, it makes it more difficult for them to get a gun, but they're still a bad guy, so they don't have morals where they go oh, was that not good to go shoot up a bunch?
I think rather than this good guy bad guy dichotomy, it's in terms of thinking of it in terms of layers of pushing down. It's the further out of the light you get, right? The further underground you get, the more criminalized you get, the more violent, the more exploitative, the higher, the more violence.
Right.
I want to run through this quick list of what we know. And direct our listeners, especially if people are in moments of panic, which I totally understand. A lot of people are losing their livelihoods right now. A lot of tools and systems that people have built up over years have just disappeared overnight.
Right. So what? And I know you're hyped up about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But no. But I'm just so people listening, because not everybody is as caught up as you.
Oh, not everyone's been just living in this shit.
And you
for
debriefed
days.
me before we got here. So let's kind of slow down and explain what so sex trafficking. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to crack down on. It's the theory is sex trafficking. Let me explain it in idiot terms, not to slow down the podcast.
Sure.
Let's take a deep breath. I know this is stressful.
Yeah, because
it's just stressful.
I'm losing my mind.
So in idiot terms, here's what's happening before we just start listing shit, because you'll be like, wait, I thought this was a comedy podcast. It will get funny, we'll riff, but I'm gonna do my job is to be the idiot that explains things to people that are not absorbing this information constantly. So what my analogy with it, to go back to the gun thing, right? And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, Wendy, did you vote for Trump? Jesus Christ, everybody calm down. You're allowed to have varying degrees of opinions about topics without being one or the other. Like you said, the good guy, bad guy dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, we'll give you the new email address, because apparently we have to change all of our email addresses to some shit outside of the U.S. because they're breaking into everything, which we will get to.
We'll get into it.
We'll get
into
scary
shit out there.
I told you it's gonna get funny, guys. We are gonna get to fun, upbeat things, like how the government is actively infiltrating your Google Docs, and there's nothing you can do about it. But with the tracking down on this, it's but yeah, what they're doing is you're fucking with more the people who are doing it legally and consensually and making a living that way. So you're fucking with the people, because the people who are doing the subversive underground shit, the criminals, people who are engaged in intense criminal, malicious activity.
The people who are exchanging child porn were already on encrypted Tor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they already know about the dark web. They know that you put it in wingdings or whatever.
The kidnappers of the world, they're using Bitcoin already.
Yeah, they're already doing it. They've already figured out how to send handwritten letters to each other, which again we're gonna get to. Like I said, a lot of funny stuff coming up. But so and what's happened is in like an effort to look like, oh look, we're helping to crack down on sex trafficking. Their big thing is we're going after anyone or any business that promotes prostitution
Or inappropriate language if you're Microsoft.
It's crazy.
Here's what's happened. The federal government is trying to pass a federal law that shifts liability from individual posters, right? So like sex work in 49 of the 50 states is illegal, right? So that's already illegal, but that was a sort of an individual problem, right? Like if you're Susie Q and you post an ad on Craigslist that says, I'll do X, Y, and Z for A, B, and C, that's on you. But now the government is shifting liability. In addition to going after the individual, they've also opened up the ability to go after the platform itself. So now, in an effort to reduce liability, these private companies, Google, Facebook, Craigslist, Reddit, whatever, are shutting down things that sex workers have built to keep themselves safe and to communicate with each other in a dumb, misguided effort to quote unquote go after sex trafficking.
Right. It's insanity. And the problem, and obviously there are a lot of problems with it, because anything could be misconstrued as promoting prostitution.
Yes.
Including
this podcast.
Right. Which is why we need you to all go to Patreon and give us money now.
Right now so that we can protect ourselves from the big bad wolf government. But also there are a lot of people out there that are hurting. So I want to go through.
Yeah, let's go through. This is really intense. This is a crazy list because this seems like a lot of these, when I heard these, like they seem to be like they're kind of like frivolous, almost like fun websites.
Yeah,
where
so
people.
This law passed March 21st. It's March 28th now. This is 7 days later, and this is what's already happened. It looks like tech companies are going after free websites and fetish websites first, which of course means that they're hitting the most marginalized communities.
Right.
So City Vibe has shut down. Craigslist personal ads have shut down. Reddit has closed many subreddits, including escorts and sugar daddy. Tear has closed all of its U.S. advertising boards. Night Shift has shut down. Verify Him, which was a site built by and for sex workers in order to create a national database of problematic, violent, exploitative clients, right?
Yep.
So if you were a woman or if you were a provider traveling from out of town, you could use Verify Him to check, because a lot of violent clients or people that violate sex worker boundaries will target girls traveling from out of town because they know that they don't have the community. They're not tapped into the same whisper networks that the local escorts are. Right?
Huh, now
So
that seems like, doesn't that seem backwards? Because if
Right.
the government is like, we want to find out.
We want to protect
We want to protect.
violence.
Yeah, victims of violence and they're being trafficked. Oh, look, well, actually, the adult sex workers who've been doing this for a while.
Right.
We already do that. We take care of ourselves. And so you could maybe go through this list and we can probably, if you were to go through, we could probably
give you a couple of serial killers that maybe you've had on your fucking list for a
Yep.
minute.
Yeah, serial killers, people that are also involved in sex trafficking,
Rapists.
rapists, because those people that are coming in and getting dealing with legitimate sex worker, someone who is used to abusing and has that fetish, will do that to someone and they get on that list.
They'll get caught.
In theory, you think the government would be like, wait a minute, let's keep this one up.
Right. Yeah. No. No. The difference between what the government says it's doing and what they're fucking doing is so vast.
Oh, yeah.
As to render those conversations irrelevant to each other. All right. So in addition to verifyhim.com going down, Google Drive, and this is the scariest shit, is deleting content and locking out users, right? So like when you go to your Google Docs, so one of the things that because sex workers are a criminalized class already, right? That was just as true last week as it was this week.
Right.
But what's different is these private companies are now going after them in addition to the government, right? So this criminalized class was trying to organize and share institutional knowledge, right? Trying to share like this legislator is friendly, or this law is being passed and this is how it's going to protect us, or let's meet here to discuss this, like, like the way organizing works.
Right.
Those documents are being deleted with no notice. So that institutional knowledge is just being taken away from this class
by Google.
By Google. Microsoft has updated their terms of service to include the phrase offensive language and quote inappropriate content such as nudity may result in suspensions or bans. So if you don't talk like the way that your middle school guidance counselor wanted you to, Microsoft now has the ability to fucking censor you. Oh, thank God we did that. I thought we were grown-ups living in a grown-up country. But no. Thank God we're going after the whores so that we can get all the fucks and cunts off the internet. That's what I'm looking for in a fucking Jesus.
The offensive language. Okay, so for sure this podcast.
For sure, yeah. This goes into effect May 1st, and it affects Skype, Xbox, Office, and any other Microsoft properties.
Skype, first of all, who's fucking on Xbox? Like,
are they maybe the scantily clad?
Now watch.
Characters?
I bet now. Okay, so like
Grand Theft Auto has whores in it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Guess what it also has? Guns and violence and murder, but no one seems to give a shit about that.
No, that's not a problem. It's the sex. That's why we keep getting hurricanes and and floods and stuff. God's mad about the stuff you do with your buttholes.
I mean,
you didn't get the memo about how offended Jesus is by women coming?
Yeah, God would
be.
He would be very upset about what he'd be more upset about having my pussy the other day. I was getting fingered. Cut your nails, gentlemen. So that's a tip.
Those are mostly free services, and then there's a couple of other on here that I want to talk about. Hung Angels has removed its forums. FetLife is trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And YourDominatrix.com has shut down. And these are fetish oriented sites, right? So we're talking about trans providers, we're talking about BDSM providers, we're talking about fringe community, members of the LGBT community. So the already marginalized. I mean, I can't tell you how many trans friends of mine are worried about having to go back onto the strip where it's like where the violence is the big fucking deal. Like that the internet was this lifesaver that allowed them to work indoors. We're still survivorsagainstsesta.org. It's a place that is trying to compile as much of this content for as long as they can stay on the internet. They're trying to confirm rumors. We've heard concerns about WordPress, Gmail, Instagram, Squarespace, GoDaddy. We've heard of Patreon seizing assets. We've heard of PayPal seizing assets. We've heard of Squarespace seizing assets for suspected sex work activity. Things are getting dangerous.
Yeah. So now, and I love you, and I know you're real worked up. We kind of blew by the website again.
The website is survivorsagainstsesta.org. That has all kinds of information about how SESTA is impacting our community. It's got a great list of things that you can do to keep yourself safe, like moving your email from Gmail to a protected Swiss account called Proton. There are a lot of other actionable, like good action steps that you can take on how to network, how to keep yourself safe, and how to stay informed about what happens next.
Yeah.
So Survivors Against SESTA. And if this has impacted you, right? If you've had assets seized, if you've had ads taken down, if you've lost your primary way of connecting with clients, then this website, contact them. They're compiling all of these stories.
This is so insane to me.
Yeah.
That this is happening, and it feels like it's surreal because it sounds like a bad future.
Yeah, like we're living a dystopian novel.
Yeah, it's what it feels like. It feels like, oh, this is like what one of the stories KAYTLIN told before.
Right. Yeah.
But it's happening now where we have people shooting schools and murdering and bringing automatic weapons into schools.
Yeah.
Killing like kids and the country western concert. I mean, country sucks. I'm just kidding. Like that's happening now, and people
Russia's
are
scary again.
And people are still like, well, but guns. It's not guns. It's mental illness.
Yeah, right.
Instead of being like, look, we need to make it more difficult to get a gun. They're like, well, the
real problem is that we have to make it impossible to buy pussy, Wendy. That's going to solve all of our problems.
Oh, exactly.
As it always has.
And guess what? If you are worried about mental illness, can I tell you, I bet dudes a lot, because a lot of these fuckers who are running around shooting people or doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Instead of spending $800 on a gun, if they just spent $400 on getting off, maybe they'd want to murder less.
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing.
Sex workers are like, and especially with the clients that I've had, and the guys that I've been with, like, and you have this, I know, similar experience. A lot of these guys are in positions of power. They're in high stress situations. Okay. And so they need someone that they can go to where it's kind of like an unbiased sounding wall. And that's like what a sex worker provides a lot of times.
The Catholic Church used to think of prostitution as being like a tension valve in society.
They were like a human squeeze ball, one of those tension balls.
Right, basically. And so, I mean, like the Catholic Church in all of its deep, violent misogyny was willing to sacrifice like the bodies of whores in order for some, like, to prevent some civic unrest, because what was happening before the brothels is that hordes of rowdy, unmarriageable journeymen were just getting drunk and raping fair maidens throughout the land,
right,
to their inevitable shame. Whereas, like with brothels, it's
like, look, here's your place to go. But then you got the thing where it's like, well, but what's the fun if she's into it? Where's the fun? Where's the game in that if she's telling me how much I have to pay her?
Yeah, it's
fucking bananas. It's bananas. And the mental health thing with the gun, and I know this is not part where I'm off topic.
No, but it is very
I can
timely.
remember when they were saying all this stuff with that kid, and they were like, and because it was a white person, they were like, well, he was mentally unstable and he should have. Can I tell you that when I was, because I'd been diagnosed as bipolar a couple times when I was younger, when I was working for myself and I was trying to apply to get healthcare, I was denied because I had a pre-existing mental health condition. So I was actually denied healthcare.
Yeah, if you care about mental health of this country, then like this isn't the way to do that.
No, it is. If right now, if I were to, if someone were to be like, okay, Wendy, if I had to go on a challenge and I could do this, but if my task was, okay, either buy a gun, let's see what's quicker and more cost effective. For me to go buy a gun, or for me to go get good, like, preventative, helpful mental health care
and an affordable rate.
Yes.
Yeah, what's easier for you to get, a gun or the mental health care you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would
banana pants.
I will bet money I can walk into a Walmart and there's not going to be a therapist sitting in a couch.
Yeah, or just walk into a gun show. There are no barriers whatsoever.
It's crazy.
Bananas.
So and then the fact that this is what they're cracking down on, and the fact that everyone's responding.
This feels like the backlash to Me Too, right? Because I mean, think about Donald Trump and the entire like the GOP right now, and how pissed off they are at mouthy whores right now.
Yeah.
Right in the wake of the Stormy Daniels thing.
Yeah.
Like they are looking to punish mouthy, uppity women across the board.
Yep.
And this feels like the way to do it, because my friends are calling it, they feel like, I think we all feel very literally under siege. Like we're being killed off, and we can feel it and we can see it happening. And there's not, I feel helpless in this moment.
Right.
But,
well, essentially, like you said, and especially the trans sex workers, you look at, because we have
the most marginalized. Yeah.
We have these safety nets where, you can be on the internet, you can screen people, you can, so it's a lot more safe. And so it's like, okay, great. So now I can do my job and be in a safe, but it's literally like they're on a boat and they're just capsizing.
Yeah.
And then they're just, like you said, so now they're just like, oh, fuck. It's terrifying. The Reddit thing, the Craigslist, I saw someone posted that when.
And there's an example of like.
It's crazy that the casual encounters,
right? They say they're going after quote unquote trafficking victims, which they equate with sex work, but they're not even just targeting sex workers. They're targeting people that are having a kind of sex that makes, I don't know, buttoned up legislators uncomfortable. Like their casual encounters isn't
that's
a
not
sex work site.
No.
It's a place for people to go to meet, to fuck each other.
Right.
Consensually.
Right.
It's just what is exactly the problem?
Right. That's not.
Are there sex workers there? Yes, but there are also sex workers on Tinder.
Right.
And Facebook and at the mall.
Yeah.
Ugh. So that's happening right now. It's scary as fuck. Stormy Daniels' 60 Minutes interview happened this past Sunday.
Yes.
That was a cultural moment.
Yeah.
She's a badass bitch.
Yeah.
She's a national hero. I don't care what anyone fucking has to say. I stand in awe of this woman, and I don't even care that she's probably a little bit racist, as has every single person that Trump's fucked. But like, I don't even care. She's just, I'm like, she's She's throwing a wrench in enough people's wheelhouse.
Yep.
That it's I mean, I have more faith in her ability to take down this presidency than the Mueller investigation. I don't know when Democrats were suddenly on the side of the FBI, but I have way more faith in fucking unrepentant whores than I do in the largest police department this country's ever seen.
Yeah. Well, and it's a thing too to watch her, and I haven't watched a full thing, but I saw pieces of it, and to see her, and here's, and not to like quote like John Wick, but a lot of these in stories, in fiction stories, a lot of the hero stories come from once you lose it, you have to lose everything, and you're a complete outsider, and you've got nothing. And then you're like, you know what? Fuck you, motherfuckers.
Yep.
And she's in that position because even though she's a porn star, and she's what's one of the only like legal forms of sex work.
Yep.
Right now, especially right now. She knows that she's ostracized by society. Mm-hmm. The same people that are watching her videos and jerking off to them, or like watching their video, they
think that they're better than her for no good goddamn reason.
And they're just like, oh, what a fucking dumb whore. It's like, no, that's a good, and like you benefit from her job.
Right.
I love watching porn.
Oh, yeah. What a terrible person bringing pleasure into people's private lives. For shame.
Right.
Shame on the beautiful, sexy lady.
It's it's literally our sex workers' jobs. It's your job is literally to provide pleasure and connection.
Yeah. No, you know who we should be shaming? Warmongers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Police departments.
Right. Yeah. People.
The violent state.
Right. That's who we should be like, hey, maybe you guys should chill out a little bit.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. But not these, but the fact that because she knows she's already on the outside and where a lot of people would be like, oh, this is a shameful thing. And you kind of put your head down in it. And I think that's why he probably thought like, oh, she's not going to say anything. She's just a dumb. It's like, no. She's a whore. You're half right. She's a whore. Uh-huh. The dumb part is incorrect.
Nope.
Because it's like.
She's nobody's victim.
Right.
She's got no fucks left to give.
Right.
And the story isn't that they fucked. She is also as uninterested in that as the rest of us.
Right.
It's the fact that he violently threatened her with silence when he didn't have the legal right to do that. It was an invalid NDA.
Right. Yeah.
And she's just fucking right.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a basic. Yeah, she's not outing. She's not telling crazy sex stories. She's not being bitchy and vindictive and being like, he's got a small dick or he's got a this. None of that. She's not doing any of that.
I love the story of him bragging about being on the cover of the Forbes magazine and then her showing him just how little fucks she gives about that by spanking him bare-assed in front of his friends with his face on that magazine.
Yeah.
It's like he was like bragging like, I was do this, I do that. And she was like, bend over. Like, I give no fucks about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they fucked and she didn't pretend to like it, but she didn't pretend to be taken advantage of either. You know, she's just like, this is a decision I made. It was fine. And then he threatened her fucking kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that's
fuck
not
that
good.
guy.
Yeah. And that's, and to show that she's like not being, that's the thing. She's not being catty. She's just going like, this guy's, he's a monster.
This is what happened. Yeah.
Somebody threatened my child.
Yeah.
Like if that was anyone else. Mm-hmm. And what's so crazy to me too about the right, the Trump supporters? If this were reversed, if this were Bill Clinton, they would be losing their mind. If this were Barack Obama,
I think it's worth talking about the difference between Monica Lewinsky and Stormy Daniels, right? Because like Monica Lewinsky, they tried and succeeded at slut shaming her, right? She was like a 21-year-old White House intern, and she was afraid of the label whore.
Right.
Stormy Daniels is a 39-year-old lady. You cannot slut shame a whore. Fuck you.
Right.
This bitch has more power than Monica Lewinsky had. And yes, the cultural narrative has changed. And also these are very different people in very different circumstances. But it's interesting to see how far we've come, right? And like how these two different women are treated.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and it's cool. And it's attitude. I think it's good to show as far as like just for other sex workers and women in general. So not even for sex workers, but it's people in society where you feel like you kind of like put upon and you're like, oh, people think I'm less than. Yep. And so you can feel that. And I feel that as someone who, especially being around really wealthy people, because my family's not from money. I don't come from money. So I have that insecurity of being like, oh, I'm poor. I come from like white trash people that live in trailers. But you just have to like get over it and be like, okay, well, you already fucking didn't like me before. So you're probably not going to want me in your club either way.
Right.
So why
having nothing to lose is a very powerful position.
Yeah.
So the good news about the
which is why I'm so happy to be living in a room with no window and 2 bags of things. That's what I tell myself.
How powerful you are, Wendy.
Yeah, I feel so powerful when I'm like, okay, I have 2 pairs of jeans. That's not true. I have a bunch. I got them all for free from Calvin
Sounds like
Klein.
something to lose.
I know.
So the good news with this with Stormy Daniels being at the front of the news cycle, right, sort of changing the narrative about sex workers a little bit, with the SESTA feels very much like a backlash to Me Too, to Stormy Daniels, but it's also been an opportunity. I've got a couple of lobbyist friends who are saying that there are senators and staffers are reporting a huge number of calls, an unexpected number of calls from sex workers all over the country who are calling their legislators. So legislators, senators are starting to think of sex workers as a demographic of constituents. And it's changing the narrative about the way that we're talked about in legislative policy circles. So
that's very cool.
Well, right. Maybe that gets better. Maybe it gets worse. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what direction that goes in, but we are having an impact. So keep calling while you still can. Right. Is my advice.
And because there's got to be some, at some point, it's crazy that it really feels like this slingshot backwards, because it felt like with the Me Too stuff and, but I guess maybe that's also because the news that we read and the people that we're around are sex rights and sex worker activists.
Yes.
So you feel like, oh, maybe we're getting to a point where it's like, hey, this is okay, and women are people, and we're allowed to do this, and this is like a legitimate, right?
It's weird to convince yourself that everyone you invited to your dinner party is cool with you being a sex worker, therefore society is changing. It's like, nah, you were always going to be able to put that dinner party together in any society.
I had, because I'm trying to get an apartment, and it was crazy because as a comedian, we do not have a lot of trackable income, and I haven't had a day job, and I had money from like a sugar daddy. Who, so like that's, but like my report, and like I would get, and comedy is cash, and sex work is a lot of cash.
Yeah, but sex work and stand up are both fringe people occupations.
Right.
No one's on the books in either of those occupations.
No, it's like whore, comedian, drug dealer.
Yeah, the difference is that stand-ups are actually bad people, whereas whores are generally the best.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so those are so I went in and I was like, I've got money saved and I got an advance for projects. So I was like, cool. So it was the craziest thing that it did not even occur to me, but I felt my body shake, and I thankfully, like, I just kind of made a joke and played it off, but I was like, Jesus Christ, if they Google me, they'll be like, we're not giving you this apartment.
Right.
Because that was the one thing he said to me is, he goes, okay, do you have any other proof of income? And I'm like, well, I have this 1099, and then like I can show you my like PayPal from like Empire, which is Emilio's, the comedy club chain. So I'm like, I have that, but I mostly just get
the
cash.
Consulting work. Yeah.
I'm like, I mostly just get cash, and then I have like freelance doing consulting for this guy for like this thing he's putting together, like a streaming radio station, trying to compete with Station Head, which is still in the beta phase, but that's the thing I was doing a while ago, which I won't go into because it's boring. But anyway, so he's trying to be like, oh, we'll just do this off the books. So he just like sends me $500 a week.
Right. But he might actually be fucking you, because then you're not eligible for apartments. You're not eligible for like all of these. You're like not on the grid,
right?
Which comes with benefits and also consequences.
Because part of me, I'm like, oh great, but it was, thank God it's through his company at least. So the guy so I had to be like, so I'm like this, and he goes okay, and I was like, here's like a poster of like of my show that I produced.
Right, yeah. It's very popular. We make money.
Yeah, I'm like, and then this is a movie I'm in.
It's called Glamour Puss.
It's called Glamour Puss. This is a movie I'm in. And then I sent a screenshot of my other podcast. And as I sent a screenshot of it, like I was like, I'm on iTunes. I didn't know. I was like, this is way worse. He was probably like, Jesus Christ. Because when he said to me, because he goes, well, we had a woman before who, he goes, we had a woman. This is actually really funny, kind of a shitty thing. I was like, thank God I look terrible.
Right.
He goes, we had a woman before. He goes, I mean, she was like younger than you. And I'm like, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
He goes, she was like younger than you, but she had the same, no paperwork, no documentation, but cash. And so we rented her the apartment, and then we found out she was a prostitute. And I had to be like,
And what were the consequences of that? Did you have to like, did you have to put salt in all the corners to get rid of the whore stink smell of evil? Or like, was the place burned by the wrath of God? Or like what happened?
Right.
But you rented an apartment to a sex worker. Oh no, the horror.
Yeah, it was. And what I wanted to say, because part of me, I want to be like, first of all, buddy, okay, let's be honest, right? But it's like, before when I was in LA, before I was ever doing sex work at all, I would bring home random dudes every night of the week because I was out doing shows, drinking, and I was working at Whole Foods, so I had a stable income, but I would just drink and then I would just fuck. So it looked like,
Right.
but it would never have crossed my mind. And now I'm like, Jesus Christ, if I bring one boy home.
Yeah.
You know,
Make
but
sure
when
you've introduced him to your father and everyone's on the up and up.
And the
Get
landlord.
permission. Right.
Yeah, I need
How
a
many
signed
dudes' permission do you need to fuck whoever the fuck you want to?
I know. I have a guarantor. I need a guarantor to sign for the apartment. No, you need your parents to sign off on that this is someone they've met that you're fucking.
This is a nightmare.
It's crazy, but when he said that, I was like, I had to like kind of make, oh, it's probably a more stable job than a comedian, but it's like the fact he goes, yeah, well, we just want to, we want to make sure. So yeah, I'm like setting flyer. I was like, what? Here's like a flyer of a show I did. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So we'll see. I'm waiting to hear back. I mean, it would have been better just be like, look, let's just.
Right.
Here's my resume. Here's a show flyer and a picture of my pussy.
I love that instinct, though. Because like when I got kicked out of that bar in Seattle for not having my ID, one of the things that I did to try to convince them to let me in was I pulled up my blog from 2011 where I talk about like being 22 or something. And like I tried to, I was like, please go. I was like, here, this blog post from 2011.
I love that.
I moved to New York.
Oh my God, Caitlin. What a weird. I know. I was
just like, have you tried Googling me?
Yeah. I'm like,
I'm a person.
Do you have your ID? No, but my Instagram handle is WendyBird82 because that's the year I was born.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, what am I going to just like, I'm a comedian, not a hooker. Look how many followers I have.
Right, yeah, exactly. Look, I was in this movie. I mean, it doesn't pay in money, but like, I'm definitely more of a whore for the entertainment industry than I ever was in exchange. But I mean, like, legally.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Velvet Swing, which is a cannabis-enhanced lube that is very nice.
Ooh.
You should follow the founder. This is a whore-owned and operated business.
Okay.
Mistress Matisse on Twitter. So buying this product supports not just your own sex life, but also the sex worker rights movement. Mistress Matisse is a big deal.
Thank you, Mistress.
Yes, you can follow Mistress Matisse at Mistress, Mistressen, Matisse, Matisse.
Yeah, you know why I feel so good? Because while you were in the kitchen about 10 minutes ago before we recorded this, I took the cannabis lube and I jammed it in my butthole. I'll tell you, not the thing.
How do you feel?
Amazing.
Right? You feel relaxed?
I feel my butthole feels great.
Your butthole feels relaxed?
Oh my God, I didn't even think about this. This would be great for anal.
Of course. Yeah, you can't overestimate the importance of a relaxed butthole.
I love anal already. I'm going to be squirting all over the wall if I put some... Okay, now I do want to wrap this because I want to go get fucked.
Velvet Swing, so you can get high while getting down.
Jesus Christ. It was so
yes.
It was so scary, and it just makes it more difficult for sex workers to do anything, and the cess law passing makes it like, it's like, well, fuck. It's already hard enough to try to get an apartment unless you've got...
Yeah. It's a problem with the criminalized population. It's hard to organize. Speaking of horror stigma and political hit jobs,
yes.
Are we ready to talk about today's sex worker?
Yes.
Today's old pro?
And I am excited because we got an email. So this is perfect timing. We got an email asking about a different group of sex workers.
Talking about male sex workers.
Yeah, boys can be whores too.
Boys have been whores the whole time. And the thing to remember about this is like evidence of men selling sex appears everywhere in the most ancient stories, the most ancient civilizations. But the definition of male and the definition of prostitution plays shifts and changes over time, right? And so generally speaking, male sex workers tended to serve male clientele, right? So you tended to have a wide variety of different kinds of dudes offering sex to like queer identified male clients. There have been cases of there being a market for female patrons of male sex workers. But in order for that to happen, women have to be able to accumulate property, and they have to enjoy enough freedom of movement to be able to go out and connect with those sex workers. So it hasn't happened as often.
So here's the pattern, is that dudes are gross and they can't handle anything in life if their dick is even a little bit hard or they're a teeny bit horny. And they're just like, I'll give you all my money. I need you to touch me and make me come and tell me I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the pattern.
Yeah.
Dudes are gross.
Dudes are gross.
No, they're not gross. We love
all
you.
the wars.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just these. Okay.
So we're going to talk about a specific male prostitute, Timarchus.
Ooh, I like that name.
Yeah, Timarchus. So Timarchus was a famous wrestler, sex worker, and politician who was operated in the mid 4th century BC. So this is like 350s BC.
Like all at once, he was a wrestler.
No.
Hook grandpa.
He was a young athlete.
Okay.
And who was very well educated and came from a very wealthy family.
Okay.
Who spent a lot of time in bathhouses where older, more established men admired his physique and paid him to admire it close up.
Well, good for that young man.
He seems to have maintained many relationships that were characterized by his political enemies as like a quid pro quo, like gay for pay situation. But he maintains that all of those relationships were emotionally based. So this is Greece in the 350s, where prostitution, especially male prostitution, is not criminalized. Neither is homosexuality. But if you were paid as a male sex worker, you could not become a politician. You could not speak on behalf of Greece or Athens if you had sex for money.
But if you're like emotionally involved, if you're like, no, this is my boyfriend, I'm emotionally involved.
So long as you weren't too effeminate, it wasn't frowned upon.
And I gotta say, I feel the same way. Every client I've had, even the short, fat, gross ones, the ones that are gross, it's
you
always
find something to love.
And I mostly the strongest emotion I feel is that I do not have to get up and go into Whole Foods to make juice. I feel a very strong emotional connection to my bed.
It's a great safe space.
Yeah, that's the emotion I really connected to. Like, oh, he looks like a troll, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. I haven't set an alarm in weeks.
That's what real freedom tastes like, by the way, is just not setting an alarm.
Yeah, real freedom tastes like fuzz in your mouth because you sleep for 14 hours in a row and you haven't brushed your teeth. That's what real freedom tastes like.
I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the way that homosexuality and masculinity and sex work is like dealt with in Athens in the 350s. Can we take?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Greek male ideal was the warrior citizen, right? The hoplite. So they were basically, which had a lot of erotic undertones, right? So they and intimate, very physically and emotionally intimate male friendships, because women weren't really people. So you didn't so you had your wife and you fucked her and you were expected to make children with her, but you weren't expected to emotionally or intellectually connect with this doll child that you
Oh
had
no,
now.
I'm sorry. Are we doing Greece or are you are you going back to the Cestable?
I'm talking about every society ever, I guess.
Okay,
It's
all right.
right, yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God, we're almost back there. We're getting so close to getting back to that point.
Just keep circling back.
I
Women
can't wait.
aren't people.
I can't wait to
over.
I can't wait to not have to talk or work. I mean, either way, you're not getting up and go to a day job. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But
yeah. Were you kept in this cage, or are you just put in a box, a literal box, a figurative? There's so many different ways to enslave you.
Man, having a pussy is number one. That's why we got to take money while we can and fucking get one over on these idiots while we can.
Yeah, women, marginal, it doesn't matter. So anyway, but the Greeks had fought long and hard. Their big enemy were the Persians, and the Persians dealt with homosexuality in a different way, where they really celebrated gender bending and effeminate cross-dressing. That was a big part of the Persian culture. So because they were the enemies of Greece was fine with two men fucking, but they were not at all cool with gender bending. They were not cool with effeminate behavior in any way.
Okay.
Right? How fucked up is that?
Yeah.
It's just a weird way of like dealing with and parsing out this sexuality. It's like,
yeah. Look, you can fuck another guy in the ass, but don't be gay about it.
Right. Like bears are cool, but twinks are not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting. Prostitution.
That's better for the porn I like to watch. I love a bear on bear porn. I really love watching two guys fuck.
Yeah, no, I just like that I can see them come. Like that's just something I've always appreciated about dudes.
I love watching, like, I'm really into dudes fucking but like where one's on their back. Because I like to look at the dick on top. Like I love that. Like if two guys are fucking, instead of being on his knees, he lays on his back.
Oh yeah.
And you fuck the ass the way, you fuck him in the ass that way.
Yeah.
And then his dick's there. When I fucked somebody with a strap on, and it was one of the best. I just got so nervous I whacked the table with my ring.
I cannot say enough good things about fucking dudes with strap on.
It's
a very liberating experience.
Yeah, I fucked a guy with the strap on. At first he was on his knees, and I like made him suck another dildo while I fucked his ass, and then I was like, flip over on your back. I'm getting horny thinking about it. I came with the strap on too. I came while I was fucking him, just because it was rubbing up against my clit.
Oh, that's so. I'm just jealous of the way that your body responds to like it. In order for me to come, I have to get to like this weird space where I become like a rainforest or like a whale or like it's a weird. I have to hallucinate in order to fucking orgasm these days. It's crazy. Yeah, I've been having like some weird psychedelic experiences with
look,
orgasm.
we'll get back to this history story in a second. Okay. You're not gonna say I feel like I have to imagine I'm a whale or a rainforest.
Well, rainstorm. Yeah, I may have said rainforest, but I meant rainstorm. Last night I was a rainstorm, and like a couple of weeks ago I was a whale.
Wait.
Look. Explain
this to you. This is interesting.
I've been experimenting with acid and tantric sex, and like when you do that, your body becomes a portal to the whole universe.
Ooh, I did LSD.
Yeah. 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 By myself. My partner would never do such a thing, as it is a direct violation of HR, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This whole podcast is getting shut down. There are going to be cops.
We're getting raided.
We're going to get it rated hard, and you're going to answer the door because they'll be like, we're with Spectrum.
Right.
Bookstore? And you're like, sounds good to me. Jesus Christ.
A nightmare.
Oh, yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, I think I'm going to set up a threesome with this guy that I'm seeing. Anyway, sorry. Now I'm just getting horny. I've been awake since 5 o'clock this morning.
We're gonna get back to this story. So this wrestler person. All right. Yeah. Oh, so by the way, this is the Popular Assembly of Athens. So it's a representative democracy, but they're only representative of like wealthy white dudes. The majority of people living in Athens are women and slaves, which seem to be almost interchangeable. There were no women allowed in the Popular Assembly, and there were no slaves allowed in the Popular Assembly, which kept most sex workers out. So this is one of the few cases in history where we have a written record of a sex worker who was neither a woman nor a slave and was able to advocate for themselves in the Popular Assembly of Athens. So this dude, Timarchus, wrestler, had several love affairs with prominent Greek citizens, and he takes the position. He takes an unpopular political position against Achilles. And they disagreed about a thing, right? They were like negotiating peace, or they had some like petty argument.
Who's Achilles?
Achilles is just another senator representative within this Popular Assembly of Athens. Okay. All right, so they're political enemies. All right. So Achilles is like, I want to see this peace treaty negotiated. And Timarchus is...
It's like, suck my dick and give me $50 for it.
Yeah. He's basically like, no, this is a bad idea. Right? It's like, like Lindsey Graham versus any Democrat, right? But rather than deal with the merits of his argument, he constructs this whole case and says Timarchus is not allowed to speak because although he is not a woman and although he is not a slave, he once had sex for money. He did not register in the Book of Common Prostitutes. Therefore, he is not allowed to represent citizens of Greece. He wins his case in what is like basically like a tabloid story of Athens, right? So this like former athlete, former party boy turned politician from a prominent family is getting dragged through the mud by one of his political rivals, and everyone's eating up all of the details. It's this like gossipy Athenian thing that everyone's obsessing about, all their dinner parties. And he wins. He has him exiled from this democratic body. And Timarchus commits political and possible, literal, although historians are torn on this, suicide.
Oh, like how shortly after he was.
Some historians think like I mean, you know, this is 350 BC, so we don't stories that get told later. So but it seems that like he was exiled and then he hung himself.
Oh, you don't have like the exact date.
No,
There's not like an Instagram post you can
no,
scroll back.
No,
and
we
say,
can't check his Twitter feed to see the exact date.
Son of a bitch. Well, it's good that Jesus and
but it's a political hit job.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy too is you look at that and you go like, I mean, it's gnarly and we don't, but God, that made it more difficult to round how did they even have proof? And I know you don't know this, but to me that's crazy because
he was a known whore, right? Which like U.S. Customs has prevented like known whores from traveling to the U.S. to like headline AIDS conventions. We've talked about that.
They're gonna say comedy shows. I'm like, fuck me.
Yeah, careful coming back from Canada. This might get weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, border agents have started checking people's social media. That's already happening.
Yeah, I thought about that too when I was like, you Google me. I'm like, you know what? Maybe don't Google me.
Yeah, maybe
you know what? I'm gonna just keep living in this shitty apartment and kill myself in a week. Yeah, I'm not gonna kill myself. Yeah, maybe. Just in case I do, I want that. Just in case I do commit suicide, I'm gonna make it look like my roommate did it so that she goes to jail.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely push that narrative.
Yeah, it's what's so insane is just that story. First of all, it's a couple different things. One. And it's what's happening now with the Sesta thing. And we talk about like with the guns and everything else. It's so easy. Whores are the best scapegoats, easy scapegoats. And so they just take like this dude and they just go like,
yep, you're gone.
If you disagree with me, or if he has good points, he's like, well, I think maybe we should do this instead for Athens. He's like, well, guess what? Your opinion doesn't count. Because
you're a whore.
Had sex for money one time.
Yeah, which is, I mean, we're seeing the same thing
it's just
happening
weird,
to Stormy Daniels.
Oh, yeah. It's his argument under. And I had a problem with the Stormy. Yeah, where they just assume they're like, oh, well, you get paid to have sex, so you must be a fucking.
Therefore, you talking is confusing. Right. Even though what she's saying makes literally all the sense.
Right. No, I feel like in Mike's case right now, me talking is confusing. Like I said, I've been up for 12 hours shooting, and part of what I shot took place in a morning sober rave. So I mean, waking up and dancing, waking up and exercising confusing. And working is worse for my brain than staying up till 4 drinking, as what I found. But no, when you kind of, it's crazy. I was looking at tweets, and I don't want to say comics' names, but they're people that I know. And
yeah, no, it's weird when you find out that people you hang out with don't think you're a person.
And it's like, oh, everyone's cool with it, and they think it's really cool when they're talking to your face, and they think it's cool when they're taking Ubers with you for free, and they think it's cool when you're can pay for stuff.
Dinner. Yep.
They think it's great, and they think it's cool, and like good for you, and that's really fucking awesome. But then the Stormy Daniels thing, you see all these tweets, and it's like, oh, I wonder how if the 60 Minutes is gonna end, on her face or on her tits, and it's like, okay, first of all, that's not a well-constructed joke.
Speaking of ending videos with sex acts, though, I mean, I want to tip my hat to Chelsea Handler. Have you heard the story about her?
No.
She used to when she was a feature comic, right? So she was like we're like baby comic, and where she was sending out physical VHS tapes of her comedy, right? She flipped the script. She used to end her comedy tapes with her getting rammed against a washing machine by some dude. It like cut the dude's face out, but you could like see her to make sure that bookers were watching her whole tape.
Oh, I did hear that story. Yeah. I thought it was a recent story.
No. This is back when she was a baby comic, and talk about a woman who has no fucks to give, right? Like she wasn't afraid of being a slut. She wasn't afraid of being called a whore. She was, existed in this fringe world of comedy with a lot of misogyny, a lot of violence against women, and she was I'm using it. Fuck you.
That's
Watch
right.
this.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Badass bitch.
That was a while ago. I was like, ooh, what did she do now? But that's when she started. That's a fucking dope thing to do.
That's a great story. Right. Yeah, and so like people are like, oh, are you going to end the 60 Minutes with like come on Stormy Daniels' tits? It's like, yeah, even if she did, anything that we could do to get all of America to watch that interview would be, I'm fine with. Right? You need to know that your commanding officer is a violent, vindictive, manipulative, small-minded, and dicked man.
Right. And no, because Anderson Cooper interviewed her, and he, even though he's not publicly out, is probably a homosexual.
Oh, isn't he out? He's out.
I think he's got to be out, right?
Out. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know.
I mean, he might not be out about fetishes, but he's out as gay.
He's out as gay.
Yeah.
So he's gay. So that would be a terrible porn.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it would take him forever to come, first off.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a Stormy Daniels porn?
I haven't. I've been meaning to watch one. And
see, that's the research I did.
Trey pulled one up. What's she like? What's it like?
She's great, and it's something I would describe as like country western porn.
Amazing.
So it's all like in like a barn, and some guy walks in with like bird shit all over his overalls.
Like a real man.
Yeah, like I. And then that's my impression of the dude. And then
she's got like a milk bucket and pigtail.
Yeah. She has 2 milk buckets. Way up, firm and high.
Boom.
Yeah. But so that was the research I did for the show. It's like, I know we're just going to watch the interview. I'm going to watch her get fucked.
So she ran for president, or she ran for Senate, I think, somewhere. And I forget what I want to Google this because I remember it being genius. She had a political campaign slogan.
No, and while you're looking that up, I'm going to say this too, and I'm not naming anybody's names, and I'm sure they probably don't listen to this, or maybe they should listen to the show. But I saw like social media, you don't realize that people like a friend of mine, like an acquaintance, comic in LA, female, funny, kind of like a ball buster, very liberal. There's some poster Stormy Daniels is going on tour, like stripping.
Yep.
Which, as she fucking should.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she's doing some like Saving America, Making America, whatever again tour.
Make America horny again.
Yeah, Make America horny again.
Which is brilliant.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah.
It's irreverent. I love it.
So that's what it is. So it's Make America horny again. And it's like, and so she made the poster, and it's like, whatever. My friend took that picture of that poster, put it on Instagram, and her caption, I swear to God, was, oh, great. Yep. Stay classy, America. And it's like, first of all, no. This is not this bitch being shitty. The shitty thing, stop shaming her, because that's not on her. Her job is to be a sex worker.
Yes.
And she is now this like the same chick that posted that flyer and was like, oh, way to keep it classy, America, or whatever fucking comment she made. It was like, okay, but you put anti-Trump stuff up all the time.
Right.
This is an anti-Trump campaign she's going on.
Right.
And she's outing him as you should be on her side. But people are like, yeah, but she's like a slut.
Oh, no.
But she gets paid to have people she has big fake tits.
Yeah,
Wendy,
I know.
Her tits are fake and big.
Stop tone policing.
It's crazy.
No, people get on their dumb high horse. People are dumb for all sorts of reasons. When Stormy Daniels ran for U.S. Senate, she ran with the slogan, screwing people honestly, which I think is perfect.
Hilarious.
Sex work is one of the most straightforward exchanges of goods and services for money. It's like, I feel dirty in entertainment. I feel dirty in politics. I feel dirty in customer fucking service.
Oh, yeah.
Sex work.
When I temped at Calvin Klein and I made $25 an hour temping there, most of the time you're just fucking around. I was like, this is stealing? I feel badly because you're just I feel badly. I'm doing nothing. With the clients that I saw, I felt like, oh, I'm earning this because you are essentially you're providing. And I had this conversation with this guy that I'm dating, who I'm trying to explain the past,
right?
Explain this dynamic to him. I tried to explain to him. I said, it's essentially, as a sex worker with your client, what you're providing, and especially whether it's hourly, escort, whatever the deal is. But I think even more so with the sugar daddy experience, where it's more of the GFE, you are providing for that amount of time that you're together, essentially a very intense virtual reality experience.
Yep.
that's worth
a fantasy.
a lot
you
of
become
money.
a fantasy.
Right.
You create a fantasy space.
Right.
It's a theatrical experience. Yeah.
So it is, and that's so therapeutic, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So it's like you're doing the job of a lot of different people, and you're just helping to reset a person. So like I never have felt guilty for however much money someone's given me.
No.
Ever.
No,
But at Calvin Klein, I was like, I mean, I'm still going to take underwear out of the closet.
yeah.
I'm still going to steal underwear to rub on my pussy and sell at Craigslist. I felt worse about the hourly rate they paid me at Calvin Klein to organize underwear than I felt about taking $50 a pair to give a pair of underwear that I wore to the gym to some dude in a coffee shop.
Yeah. One feels like an honest exchange of goods and services, and the other one's just stealing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It's fucking crazy.
It's bananas.
Ugh.
Well, what are you going to do? And the people, too, that are the stealing from people, honestly, is so funny. That's a great slogan.
Yeah. Screwing people honestly. Yeah. She's a national treasure. I'm excited about her. I'm excited. This Timarchus stuff and like the political hit job stuff and all of this, I think we're starting to see the like fake moral outrage. Like the fact that the GOP isn't calling, like the disconnect between the Stormy Daniels story, right? And the SESTA story and like the GOP agenda and like Donald Trump in office. It's like they're not about protecting sex workers. They're not about punishing exploiters. They're doing nothing except trying to keep powerful, violent, stupid men in power by discrediting anyone that would embarrass them in public.
Right.
Yeah, or disagree with them in public.
Yeah, that's all they're doing. They're just taking any teeny bit of power that women have in any part of society. It's a conversation that we've had on this show before and on the other show where you talk about men make more money than women per hour. Like, in general, men are making more on the dollar than a woman. And some smart ass dude was like, oh yeah, well, Wendy, I'm sure. Well, if I did your job,
Right.
I couldn't make as much money as you could being, in a sex
whatever.
worker. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally the only industry.
It's the only industry
that
where women are paid
make
more.
Yeah, that's the only industry.
It's ludicrous. And I think we've said on the podcast before, and I'll say it again, but looking at the way that Trump treats his political enemies, especially women, when he called Hillary Clinton a nasty woman during the second presidential debate, he was really calling her a whore. And now he's trying to slut shame a whore.
Right.
And he's seeing the hollowness of that dumb fucking argument. It's so interesting to me that like all of the women that Trump has tried to shame into silence, they were afraid of the whore label. It took a self-possessed, self-aware, self-confident sex worker to cut through that bullshit and say, yeah, that word doesn't mean anything to me. Bring
Right.
it. What else you got? Oh, nothing? Fuck you.
Right.
We want to wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you so much for listening. Please email us your stories. If you're scared about SESTA, let us know. Email us at theoldestprofessionpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to try to change our email soon.
Fuck, I gotta change my regular email.
Yeah,
if you're a cop or the whatever listening, it's a joke and I'm a comedian, but I'm gonna change all my email addresses.
Writers.
Jesus Christ.
For information about SESTA, how it affects you, how you can protect yourself, please go to survivorsagainstsesta.org. We'll be posting that on all of our social media accounts. Of course, on Twitter and Instagram, we are at Old Pro Podcast. And you can find me on social media at KAYTLIN Bailey.
And you can find me at Wendy Starling on Twitter, at WendyBird82 on Instagram. And we have the ticket link up and ready. If you're in New York City, April 18th, we're doing our second live show. It's at the Soho Playhouse, 8 o'clock at night. We have tickets online. The link is in both of our social medias, the Old Pro, Instagram and Twitter. $8 pre-sale, $10 at the door. The last show was fucking great.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So
benefits are going to go to SOAR.
Correct.
Which is the Sharmus Outlaw Advocacy Rectal Probe. Something. It stands for something. They do great work. We'll have information.
That sounds
about
great.
That.
Did you have the first half of that right?
Yeah, the first half of that is right. The second half of that.
Rectal agency. Now, see, I was checked
agency.
out. I was going to Google it and make a joke about, the proceeds are going to go to building the underground bunker.
And Sharmus Outlaw was an incredible activist and advocate, and we're going to be doing an episode about her next week before the show, so that you'll know all about her and her namesake organization.
Awesome. But yeah, get tickets if you're in New York. If you're not in New York or you're close by, take the train, come and hang out with us. The last show was great. We raised a lot of money, and yeah, that's it. Stay safe, please. Email us. And here's the first tip I'll give you off of the Survivors Against SESTA website. Here's one you can all do right now. Turn off the location services and GPS on your phone, iPad, iPod Touch. Shut those off right now. That's free tip. Holy shit.
Thank you so much for listening. This has been
The Oldest Profession.